All right, in this video, we are going to be talking about the next thing on our rubric, and that is reflections. We're going to talk about when points are reflected across an x-axis or when they're reflected across the y-axis, okay? So the first thing we're going to talk about is the materials that you're going to need for this activity. You need to have 2 white slips of paper. They look like this, okay? Make sure you get those from the sub. You need to have 1 tan square, looks like this. Again, the sub will have that. 2 Q-tips, okay? Get that from the sub as well, so make sure you have 2 Q-tips. You need a glue stick. You need a plate of paint. Okay, again, for your table, okay, your table group needs a plate of paint. It's going to have blue, green, and red on it. You need your black notebook, and your black notebook, table of contents 21 and 22, the title is going to be called Reflections. So, go ahead and pause this video, get all the materials that you need, okay, and get written in your black notebook in the table of contents and on the actual pages, reflections. Okay. All right, so now you should have all the materials that you need in front of you. The first thing that we're going to do is, you'll notice that this tan square has 2 sides. This side is hard to see, and this side you can see. We're going to look at the side that you can see. We need to make creases. Really, really good creases. So we're going to fold this so it's right on this black line, so on this axis here. So I know it's hard for you to see what I'm doing. I'm trying to, there we go. Okay, so I folded it so it's on that, right on that black line. You can see where the fold is. I'm going to fold it the other way, and I'm going to have a really good crease. Okay, and fold it and crease it. Okay, so it should really easily bend. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing this direction, folding it on the x-axis. Okay, again, fold it both ways so it folds really easily. So now you've got this piece of paper that you can fold really easily. You see it's labeled X and it's labeled Y. All right, so that's our first step. Okay, put that off to the side. Second step is, let's see, 21, I got it right on my notebook here, 22. And this is reflections. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get some things glued into our notebook. So the very first thing I want you to get is this slip of paper that's got like some vocabulary words on it. We're going to glue this right on the top of page 22. Okay, so whenever you feel the need to pause the video so that you can get caught up, you need to do that. So I'm gluing it in, and then I will show you what it looks like. All right, I put it right at the very top of page 22. Okay, then I just want to check one thing here. I want to make sure this is going to fit. It doesn't. Okay, that's a good thing I checked that. So then this we're not going to glue in yet, okay? This square, we're not going to glue this in yet, but it will go here, but not yet. Okay, this then, let's do this. Let's glue it sideways, or would it go this way? Yeah. Does it fit? It's best if it can go this way, so it does look like it's going to fit. This piece of paper right here is going to go with the tan square that we'll glue there. So if you want to glue it down on the page a little bit, that would be fine. Okay? Whoopsies. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue that in, and I'll show you what I've got. So this is my 2 pages. So you pause when you need to pause. Okay, so now we're ready to talk about what reflections are. We're going to fill out our definitions here. So it says a reflection. Okay, it says blank a point or shape across a line. You're going to write flipping. Okay, a reflection is a flip. It's flipping a point across a line to create a mirror image. Okay, so we're going to have a point, and we're going to flip it across the line, and we're going to see we have 1 point here And when we flip it, we have the other point over on the other side, and it looks like it's a mirror. Okay, we're going to take the notes on the labeling, and then I'm going to put all this together for you. We're going to do an activity, so this will make sense in a little bit. So when you label a point, the original point is called the pre-image. Pre-image. The reflected point, after you reflect it, that's called the image. The new point is called the image. Now, you've got your point, point A, your pre-image. You reflect it, that's your image. And how you're going to label that is with an A, and then you're going to put a little apostrophe, but we don't say A apostrophe, we call it A prime. A prime, okay? So, we've got our notes. Now we're going to do this activity. All right. I'm going to have to put getting glue on my table. All right. I think the first thing I'm going to have us do, just so we've got it written down, is let's point A, point B, point C. I'm going to have us go ahead and fill in the points, but we're going to just talk about one point at a time, all right? But let's just get them filled in. So point A is going to be at 3, 4. Point B will be at 5, 0. And point C will be at -5, -2. All right, so this was over on page 21. And get that copied in. Okay, so now this is where the fun comes in. And I did not get my paint on my plate here, so I'm going to get a tiny little bit of paint. Got my red, got my green, and I'm going to get my blue. Okay, there we go. All right, got my Q-tip, my plate that I'm sharing with all the people at my table group, and I've got my card that I can bend really good, looking at the side with the dark lines. All right, we're going to start with, let's start with green, okay? Green is going to be point A. We are going to put a dot with green paint on our Q-tip at 3, 4. So 3 to the right, 4 up. So I'm dipping, I know you can't see this, but I'm dipping a tiny bit. I don't want to get too much, otherwise this is yucky, okay? So 3, 4, and I'm just going to put a dot like that. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is reflect this across the y-axis. This is the y-axis. So I'm going to fold my paper. I'm going to flip across the y-axis. And I'm going to give a little pinch right there. And look what happens. Okay, so now I'm going to label this. This was point A right here at 3, 4. So I'm going to put an A. My new point over here is called A prime, A with an apostrophe. All right, what is the point, the ordered pair for this? It's -3, 4. So now if I fill this out, when I reflect it across the y-axis, my point 3, 4 went to -3, 4. So do you see what happened? We went from 3, 4, we reflected across the y-axis to -3, 4. Okay, let's do the same thing. Now we're going to reflect across the x-axis. We're going to take this point right here, this original point, and reflect across the x-axis. So I'm still using my green. Now, I might need to get a little bit, tiny bit more paint up there so it's wet still. Okay? When I fold down, be very careful. This should hopefully be dry if you didn't use too much. And you're going to fold down now across the x-axis. So fold straight down, give it a little pinch. Let's pick it up. Okay, now mine's a little off. Okay, you can tell I didn't fold very good, but it should be at 3, -4. So that's point A prime as well, because this was my pre-image was A, and I reflected my new image, I say is A prime, and that's at 3, -4. So if I go back to this, 3, -4. Okay, so what are you noticing here? When we reflect across the y-axis, the x value changed, the opposite, 3 to -3. When we reflected across the x-axis, the y value, the second number, changed. It was +4, it's now -4. Okay, all right, let's move on and try point B. Point B is at 5, 0. So make sure this is dry. And this time, you're going to use the other side of your Q-tip, and we're going to use, let's use red this time. Okay, just a tiny bit. 5, 0. 5 to the right, 0 up or down. Oops, I got a little bit on there. Okay, so 5, 0. It's right there on the x-axis. That's point B. I'm going to reflect across the y. So I'm going to fold this way. I'm going to pinch and open it up. And you see the point now is at -5, 0. Okay, so this was B. And now B prime is at -5, 0. Remember, you're pausing this anytime that you need to get caught up. Okay, so when reflected across the y-axis, that was -5, 0. Oh, look. When we reflect across the y-axis, the x changed. Something might be happening there. Okay, now, a little bit more red paint on here, not too much. Okay, we're going to put a little more on here to make it wet paint. Now we're going to reflect across the x. So we're going to fold on this line. Okay, we're going to just pinch right there. Oh, what do you notice happened? It's still at -5, 0. And because the original point was on the x-axis. So if you reflect on the x-axis, it's still going to be there. So I'm going to put a B prime. I added B prime to show that it's still that same spot, okay? So make sure you get that dry so we don't make a mess. So when you reflect across the x-axis, it doesn't change, okay? The y value, 0, the opposite of 0 is just 0. It doesn't change because see up here it was 4 to -4. That was the opposite, but there is no opposite to 0. It just stays 0, okay? Let's try the last one. So now you should have your second Q-tip, and we're going to use the color blue. And it's going to go at point C, which is -5, -2. So we're going to go 5 to the left and 2 down. So a little bit of blue. Okay. Oh, I keep doing that. So 5 to the left. Oh, I'm having a heck of a time here. Let's try this again. Okay. 5 to the left and 2 down. There's my dot, okay? Now, reflecting across the y-axis, we're going to take this point and flip it over here. So I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to pinch, just like that. And I'm going to see now, it's hard to tell, but right there, it's at +5, -2. So, -5, -2 is point C, that's my pre-image. -5, -2 is C prime. So check out my blue dots right there that I just labeled. C and C prime. Okay, so C prime, when we reflect across the y-axis, is at -5, -2. So let's look. Our x value stayed, +5. Sorry, +5, -2. So our x value is what changed. Our y value stayed the same. So we did, when we reflect across the y-axis, we did the opposite of our x value. Okay, we've got one more to do here. Okay, get a little bit more blue paint. So remember, only put paint on the original point. C, right there, -5, -2. This time we're going to reflect across the x-axis. So we're going to take this point and we're going to flip it up here. So I'm going to carefully just kind of pinch right there. And what do we got? It's at -5, +2. So we're going to call that C prime. So -5, +2. Okay? Remember, pausing at any time that you need to get caught up. -5, +2. All right, let's look. We reflect across the x-axis, so it's our y values that change. Okay, so that is reflections. What you are going to do now is get this dry. Okay, it's going to get glued right there. So if you've got time, if class isn't over, you can glue that there. And then, yeah, now you're gonna put reflections into practice. The sub is gonna tell you what you're gonna do next. All right, go ahead and make sure you get everything cleaned up and follow directions from your sub.